Welcome to MTMscratch, a podcast about artists and the art they make. I'm Jordan Burt, and I recently had a chance to sit down with the Palmer Squares. The Palmer Squares are a hip-hop duo from Chicago, comprised of Terminal Knowledge and Ecumenal. The group boasts around 16 million YouTube views and countless streams across major platforms. Their punchline-heavy style brought them to prominence in the YouTube cypher scene around 2010, and since then they've released 2 mixtapes, 3 EPs, and 2 albums. We recorded this episode prior to the release of Junkyard Samurai, a collaboration with fellow Chicago rapper Prop Cause. The Palmer Squares were generous enough to give me about 2 hours of their time, so this episode is a little bit longer than usual. I hope you enjoy. Who are the Palmer Squares?
Well, I guess we are the Palmer Squares.
Yeah, was that you're asking us?
Nope, I'm asking you.
I think our social media bio says something like 2 guys who rhyme words with other words. And I've never found it to be much more complicated than that, you know?
Yeah, I guess I'm trying to think of how to make this a longer answer to this question.
There's another bio that says we suck.
Yeah, that's there. Well, the two of us have been friends way before we made Palmer Squares music. We go back to like growing up together in elementary school, and then after all that, after starting in high school and college, I guess we started writing goofy rhyme patterns and like parody type Weird Al rhymes, and then we got involved in like a YouTube cypher scene that was kind of short lived, but I think that's what really did it for us. We became YouTube rappers. I feel like a lot of our listeners would describe us as that, and they wouldn't be wrong. Like, we weren't SoundCloud. Everybody has their outlet that they use to help themselves make a name and stuff. So we started there, and then we started getting a little more traction because of YouTube. And, now we create albums, we try to tour. We're just kind of figuring it out day at a time, year by year. But yeah, I guess the Palmer Squares are YouTube rappers trying to be even more.
Yeah, you guys are kind of like among the first group of like actual YouTube rappers. I feel like that scene isn't necessarily like there as much anymore.
Not. And like a lot of times fans will send us messages, ask us like, you got any advice? Like advice for an up and comer, like tips. And, it's kind of honoring. It's humbling because I don't really feel like I'm qualified to give too much advice, but a part of it was luck,
Yeah,
like,
I feel like we
that was right time for us.
We've just found this little window, and had we tried to do what we did 2, 3, 4 years later, I don't think it would have worked the same way.
So if there's any listeners that don't really know what that YouTube cypher scene was, obviously like a hip hop cypher is just a group of people trading off raps, and they're just kind of standing in a circle rapping around. That's how they did it in the 80s and 90s. And once the digital age dawned upon us here,
Reared its ugly head.
they would, like a producer, it became like a few years where this was like a real scene, and it was official. Like a producer would start a thing and say, hey, I'm starting a cypher and I'm going to call out. And he'd start it with somebody, it's going to start with, let's just say George Watsky, right? And it's somebody who's already like more established than us. We've known about Watsky and other more established rappers for a long time. And then so that dude would rap on the beat, and then at the end he'd pass it to somebody else. Say, I'm calling out, Wax or somebody. So, and then at these YouTube circuits, it kind of became like you knew who the players were, and you kind of knew who would respond if you called them out. And
sometimes it was proper etiquette to contact them before posting your video, just to make sure you weren't going to leave the whole cipher hanging, calling out somebody who wasn't available.
But we weren't even like we weren't players. We weren't aware of these. I think we started by finding out about
there was a guy named Taekwon Flo.
Yeah,
and I asked him. I saw that he got called out last on a cipher and hadn't posted his video yet, so I contacted him and said, hey, if you haven't thought of anybody to call out, I'm pretty sure I even included, how I've been observing the scene. I would like to find my way into it. I think I might not suck. And, if you can give me a chance, if you ain't got anyone else to call out, call me out. I'm pretty sure that's the way, like, I asked for permission.
So that was like the
entry.
The Ramzo cipher.
Yes.
And then Term passes it to me. So now I get my, that we're like a duo. So he's like, oh, I got called out in this one. I'll call you out. You can do one. Then you pass it to somebody. And then like now we're all of a sudden that's a lesser known one. And then later we get called out. It gets passed to us by Wax, who we were a fan of. That was the Here We Go cipher. And that had more viewers on that circuit. Like how that worked was like we would get the spillover fans from who called us out as well as who we passed it to. So like if Wax called us out, he has more fans than us. And then his fans are like, oh, who did he pass it to? I want to see who these guys are. So now his fans are watching us. And then Will, kind of strategically, sometimes we would just want to pass it to somebody, like because we wanted to. And then other times it's just like, well, it would be smart for us to pass it to, Dumbfounded or somebody, it was just like, we weren't players. We were nobodies. We had like a couple of videos on YouTube. We were inspired by that cypher scene as observers and then kind of weaseled our way into it. And then once our name was there, so whoever you pass it to, now their fans like, wait, who called out Dumb? Who are these guys? So we were getting fans of theirs, I feel like, and that was a really beneficial period for our like incoation. The beginning, it was YouTube stuff. We've never recorded a studio track. Didn't even know how, didn't know where would it go, how we'd afford it. But we had a camera and we had the internet. So that's how we started. And I guess, that was, almost 10 years ago. But those ciphers were really, I think, helpful for us at that time. And I don't know how much to give advice beyond that because that launched us and everyone needs their launch pad.
It was like our training wheels to what, eventually became what we do now, Yeah. The bicycle ride that is music. I don't know where I was going with the analogy.
No, it seems like you guys did catch the wave at just the right time. Like a few years earlier, YouTube didn't exist. A few years after, it was really oversaturated.
Well, the scene doesn't exist like that anymore. There's still ciphers. There's still kids starting stuff like this and passing it to their friends. And it's like any community, of artists or whatever can like start something like this. But it was there were some well-known established artists kind of doing that and pioneering that YouTube cipher scene. And it did fizzle out after a few years. So we found ourselves on a couple of larger ciphers.
Got in, we got some fans, and then it died and we got out,
Yeah, we cashed out early. But like, that's not like a thing that really exists anymore. So the game changes so fast too, no matter what it is. If it's like filmmaking or music, like Spotify now and the algorithms, it's very, it's a fast moving game.
I guess this was before like smartphones and apps and shit, right?
I probably didn't have a smartphone when we first started like doing YouTube videos and stuff. I definitely didn't.
It'd just be, the way shit evolves, it soon was not the flavor of the week or whatever.
We find it hard to stay relevant sometimes. In some years, we feel like we have a silent, like, we're not doing the shit right, or like the stuff changed and we're doing it the old way still, but there's a new way now and we're not on board. It's actually really difficult to figure all that out and feel like you're somebody who, I'm definitely not somebody who gets it. I don't understand the algorithms and the system. Everybody, you need likes and shares and comments because then the algorithmic approach to Facebook is, this is being engaged. We'll feed it to more people. This is clearly something people are responding to. So if nobody likes your shit, I don't know. I hate having to just beg and rate 5 stars, subscribe. But if you don't get that, the internet's not going to feed your content to more people. So it's always changing.
Yeah, it seems like kind of a double-edged sword. It's like, I don't know, YouTube is such a great incubator for like hip-hop and stuff like that a little while ago, but at the same time, do you think it's somehow killing, I guess, the in-person culture? Like, you don't really see people like start ciphers in person anymore, or...
That's way beyond me. That's like that effect, which you're absolutely right about. It's crazy to think that when we started YouTube videos, we didn't have smartphones. I never was on Twitter and stuff. That came way later. But now that's like such a new normal, but it's almost, that influential, you forget life before it. And so, yeah, there is an element to that. And I think there's an element to that just in society and people just being less communicative and way more getting news instantaneously, putting out short ideas in text, reading things without any like tone, and that just changes how people socialize. So that definitely would play in the hip hop realm too. Honestly, I think it played for us because I think we're blossoming into more social butterflies over the years, but we needed YouTube. We weren't trying to go grab open mic spots and freestyle Fridays and stuff. Like we were not like that. I don't think we had that confidence. We still don't. Being able to just do this in our living room with a camera and go on YouTube was like crucial that there was that outlet. And I don't think we're not comfortable like in a cypher. I'll kick a few bars if I'm hanging at a party and stuff, but I think that's like an art that we didn't grow up with.
It could perhaps like stunt development or growth, not having to prove yourself in person or something. But it's also kind of like make shit move a lot more rapidly in a lot of other ways, you know?
Yeah, we still play live shows, obviously, but we didn't for the first several years of Palmer Squares and putting music out on YouTube. We were putting out YouTube rap videos and stuff for a couple of years before we ever got on a stage. And there's some people who never make that transition. And, you know, they're great rappers and they might put stuff on YouTube every week. And but they've never like performed live or something. And there's a package to round out of like, that's just one element. Like if you're going to take anything to the next level, you got to be able to adapt and get off of YouTube and get on a live stage and maybe put yourself in some environments and situations that you wouldn't want to do or feel comfortable in, but that's how you're going to meet more people. That's how you're going to spread your name, shit like that.
Yeah. So, what exactly got you into music? For Term K, it seems like he came from a very musical family. What about you, X-Metal?
I did not come from a musical family. Neither of my parents play any instruments or sing or anything, but I started playing drums when I was in the 4th grade. And all through senior year of high school, I was in band, playing drums, jazz band, marching band, drumline. So that was how I think I started my musical endeavors. And then by high school, I was always listening to lots of different stuff, and I discovered hip hop like Beastie Boys and stuff very early when I was, 4th grade. MTV, After Dark, Kurt Loder, Beavis and Butthead, that type of shit. But no, I don't have like a musical background. I think I was just a big fan and like a big nerd of all sorts of music. And then once I discovered like the hip hop that you have to discover, like you have to like kind of seek it out. I didn't know I hadn't heard like lyrical rap really, or, lesser known artists like Elzai or Fonte or people who became my favorites. Friends had to show me that, and we found it in high school and stuff. And then I was just more fascinated lyrically. I think both of us were like, I played drums, he played guitar. So neither of us were super lyrically focused.
Yeah, even though I was raised with music, hip hop music was never anywhere near what I was raised around or what I was sort of like given an interest to do. But it's kind of the same thing. We hung out in that same circle, and we had to be shown the things that got us into it.
I got to give credit to our friend Zach for sure, because he had his ear to the ground way deeper than we had it. And it was just like, he would show us Madlib and Jay Dilla and everything. Like he showed us so much funk music and soul music, and he collected records early. Like he was 15 and 16 and showing us MF Doom. And I went through that like leather jacket, pins, punk rocker, 7th grade kid listening to the Ramones. Like I thought hip hop was not real music, and it took me a while to find it. And then once we did, we were like, oh, this is like by words. I was actually saying earlier today to somebody else that I try to trace back how I got interested in writing raps. Maybe was that I just used to do word puzzles with my grandma while she was babysitting me. My mom be at work, and she'd have like word searches, word puzzles, and her booklet of word puzzles. So I would love helping my grandma figure out how to solve her word puzzles. And I look at every verse today as like putting a puzzle together, and rhymes are that, and matching syllable to syllable. It's like a puzzle. So my drum knowledge I think just learning music that way and learning rhythm and scales on xylophone and band and stuff like that, mixed with how much I just love doing word puzzles, you know, all these years later, I think that's how I molded my style without having a musical family, you know?
Yeah, you actually touched on something that was kind of interesting. You basically said that, like, you didn't think hip-hop...
Yeah, it's very, well, now it's like the new Billboard standard. It's the new rock and roll, and it's just like...
It's not music if there isn't some sort of hip-hop fusion.
Yeah. You know, Terms talked about country songs that have just like backing tracks that are very hip-hop beat, you know? But
I mean, all modern pop, every brand's... every like pop version of every genre of music has like a hip hop backbeat or some sort of hip hop element to it. Country singers are basically like rapping over electronic.
Let me tell you a little something when I'm
That's so true. That song,
Pickin' is not part of country music anymore, at least the mainstream. But yeah, I grew up from like a rock metal, like frankly, like a musically dorky family that's like has definitely, I was ingrained with like a bit of like a stubborn, opinionated view of, you know, what I like is real music. And if that didn't take talent and if nobody's ever, you know, if people have heard of it, and it wasn't fucking backbreaking talent, then it's not worth listening to. You know, and we've definitely, I think, evolved from that. I'm definitely much more open to contemporary.
But now I feel like we're almost coming full circle on this philosophy. Look, I don't know if you saw this past weekend, but that shit is like not real music to me. And that performance, like, it bugs me, man. Kanye came from my city, blazed a trail for people like us to like be inspired that, you know, the Chicago hip hop scene is dope, and we've come so far from late registration, and it's just lazy to me. It's lazy, and it embarrasses me a little bit.
Right, there's like music theory.
That shit is not like rap music to me. Mumble rap isn't really rap music to me.
I think Kanye West is like a pretty musically inclined and knowledgeable person with his history and everything. But there's music theory, and then there's just knowing a formula to lazily fart out the same nonsense, you know?
Yeah.
And it's not music theory.
On the whole, like, hip-hop not being real music and that changing, it seems like it's only changed with more commercialism. Because it's like the lyrical quality has always been higher than basically any genre.
It's all dollars and cents. It's what that formula. It's what they know it sells, and these are proven hits. So let's make this new thing. It's a variation of what worked before, and you've always had to go seek out the dopest. I guess lyrically speaking, if you want like complex, meaningful stuff, a lot of it isn't what they're going to spoon feed you on B96 or whatever. It's going to be. Yeah, you have to find it the same way we had to with our friend Zach, like just digging for it.
And the same goes with every genre, really.
Yeah. So like I don't really know. I feel like we've only been in this game like 10 years and it's already a different game. It's not exactly what we started out trying to. I don't really know exactly like what. It just feels a little different. You got to stay true to yourself and what the music that you want to make is, but there's also something to like staying modern and adopting the new trends and sounds. And
what we were talking about with the rise of YouTube and SoundCloud and these social media platforms kind of launching young, maybe less talented people to stardom, I think it is sort of setting a new precedent that people are less interested in super talented artistry, and they're more interested in just some nobody who they can more, everybody is a nobody. You can relate more to the fucking talentless guy who's playing three notes than you can to fucking Yngwie Malmsteen,
I have no clue who that is, but I get the point. So do you guys listen to your own music?
What was that?
Do you listen to your own music?
No, I mean,
I feel like a few times a year, I'll get in like a zone of like, I want to listen to, a handful of tracks off Finna just to remind myself that I wrote some dope shit 5 years ago, you know? For nostalgic purposes.
Obviously, when we're working on it, like I don't listen to much else other than our music when it's still in production. Like I'll listen to the drafts over and over and like maybe take notes.
Right.
And I want to redo this, and I could, what I want to change for the next time we're in the studio, and then I get that new draft and I listen to it over and over, and I really pick it apart until I'm happy with my part of our song and our songs in general. But other than that, not a lot. Now, like occasionally, I feel like I don't have to, and I still have it in front of me all the time because we perform live. I do a lot of our like social media marketing, and we put out our one take stuff earlier this year. So I dug through all the old one take YouTube videos and edited. So I kind of like got a refresher just in a promotion way, So I feel like it's always there, but I'm not putting it on because I'm like, let me listen to my album from last year again. I don't think I really, maybe a lot of years ago, but not so much anymore.
We often get asked like what our favorite song we've ever done is, and I feel like a common response that comes to us is usually my favorite song that we've done is one that you've never heard because it's one that we're currently working on.
Or it's like the last
just
thing
finished.
you heard. Like it's always modern. We're not thinking about the old things that the fans maybe hold more close.
By the time it's something that you get your hands on as a listener, we're kind of past it, and there's a new thing that we're into that you don't know about.
Always one.
I actually had a similar question. What's your favorite bar that you've written? Like,
arms, I hit the blunt, I'm coughing rhyme. That's some shit that I like. I feel like that was the first line that I ever wrote that I acknowledged to myself, like, hey, that's not bad, That's got legs. I wouldn't be embarrassed spitting that in front of somebody, maybe. To just pinpoint my all-time favorite line is very hard to do. There's a lot of lines that I forgot that I even wrote, and then when I hear them, I'm like, wow, that's fucking killer.
That's another thing about not listening to our own music. I'll meet fans at shows, and we'll be hanging out in the back patio area of a bar or something, and they'll be like, hey, man, your verse on Sycamore Cypher was dope. And I'll be like, I don't remember it at all. It's so long ago, and we've worked on so much since. And he'll like spit it to me. Like, no, my fans are spitting now back at me shit that I wrote, and they know it word for word, and he's like rapping it, and I'm like going, oh, like punchlines of me to myself, like I wrote that.
We're reacting as if that guy's verse.
Yeah, I'm like I never heard it before, even though I fucking wrote it. So sometimes it becomes like, that's actually a really surreal, awesome feeling. I remember that happens every now and again. I'm like, damn, I forgot this verse. Do you know it? Like, how's it start? And then the fan spits the whole thing, and I'm like, and it sounds like some of it's pretty good. Some of it's like, yeah, that sounds like early me, not that great. Other lines, I'll be like, damn, that was a good one. I forgot about that. It's really hard to pick one line. Like, it might be easier by song and stuff. Like, I think I like my verse on Picturesque a lot. Not one specific line, but the whole, I don't know, I put effort into that. I like my verse on Unlistenable a lot. Something I used to like to do is starting a verse with the dumbest line I had, and then trying to like make sure that I validated how dumb it was by ending it stronger. So like in Unlistenable, my opening line is, your mom blows dudes for $2. I'm proof that you suck, inducing goosebumps, whatever. And then at the end, my whole last 16 bars is very more like socially relevant and has like a message, and fans have often said they think it's one of my strongest things. But I like, got a cigarette addiction and pornography hobbies, started diddling my dick and shot a wad in my jockeys. Like that, I opened a verse with that, and that's like the dumbest, silliest thing I had. But if you can like stick with me after that, then I trust you as a listener.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of like shock rap almost. You guys have a ton of range. Like, what is your writing process like? Because I hear you'll mention like, I don't know, some sort of pop culture reference, and then some book like 3 people on the planet have read.
Yeah.
Where does that come from?
I feel like a lot of it is stuff that we just know, like a gem of a reference that for whatever reason we know this book or this movie reference. Some stuff is more research because we're like working on a verse, and occasionally like to if I'm rhyming like Cleaver and Beaver and I want to rhyme Sigourney Weaver, I'll go to her IMDb page, you know?
Spend 20 minutes Googling Sigourney Weaver.
And then I'll like be looking for my reference. And so now I'm on her IMDb, which by the way, 4 more Avatar movies coming out. It's a little much. Yeah, like maybe one sequel. Let's start there. But that's like the most recent shit on her IMDb. Yeah, wow. 4 more of these things. That's what we're doing next. But so sometimes I'll find a movie that fits the rhyme and the reference really well, but I haven't seen it. So I almost have like, I've gone on like read synopsis. Sometimes I'll just watch the movie, but there's some that we have to seek it out by research. And then other stuff we do just know because, you know, Trevor might know more about like punk rock or country music artist references. And I might know more about like obscure basketball player or something because I watch a lot of basketball. But
and a lot of it's like we watch like Jeopardy and shit, and you know we'll watch each other fucking like hear an answer to something that's just like an interesting sounding phrase or an interesting sounding tidbit of information that you definitely just upon hearing it, it's like, wow, there's a lot of things you can rhyme that with, and I've never heard anyone rhyme that, and we'll jot it down.
Term was watching a UFC fight the other day, and I was working on a rap that was unrelated to any of this.
This annoyed me that he caught this and I didn't.
So yeah, they're giving Conor McGregor or somebody a welterweight title, and I go, oh, welterweight, Walter White. There's something there. So then I sit down and I turn it into here today, gone tonight, compelled to say I'm the archetype. Something about Walter White, welterweight, never lost a fight. Like it starts with that. I hear welterweight, I think Walter White, and now I'm off at the races, you know?
Yeah.
We used to a good amount of like talk radio. I think we still do. At least as much music I listen to dudes just talking, you know, conversations. And a lot of them are like older comedians or you know, older dudes you'll hear say things that younger dudes don't say. You know, you'll hear a lot of old-timey turns of phrases, and we keep our ears out for that kind of shit very often. You know, that has something to do with it. And then the writing process itself is very boring and tedious, and it's just us sitting in front of a laptop with a loop playing for 5 hours sometimes.
I was just listening to Vinny Paz from Jedi Mind Tricks on Joe Rogan, and he was asking him the same question about his process. And then it was like getting really detailed, and I was like, yeah, I don't care about all these minute details. But then I was thinking like, it is kind of cool to know exactly. He was going like, do you use a pen and a pad or Microsoft Word? He goes like, I use a computer. He's like, is it Mac or PC? It's PC. I'm like, why does that matter? But now I know that motherfucker doesn't use Mac.
I use a Mac.
I use a Mac. It's interesting to somebody. But yeah, Microsoft Word and Mac, obviously we still have like old spirals from school and stuff. It was always writing, but as everything's become a little more like digitally, I like keeping Word documents and backing them up on a hard drive and stuff.
Yeah, and it helps with like we had just said, if you need to Google Sigourney Weaver for 20 minutes,
you're right
like
there.
You got the Sigourney Weaver window and your fucking rhymes right there next to each other.
My homepage, like my internet Google homepage is thesaurus.com. That's like the first thing. So I just open up the internet and I'll open up my Word document and jump back in wherever I left off. And if I get somewhere and I like keeping words in front of me to where like I'll be in my head, I'm thinking faster than I'm like reacting really, but so I'll know like the vibe or the tone I'm trying to convey or the emotion, right? If there's an emotion, let's say it's like tired, but tired doesn't fit my rhyme scheme. The word tired, it's not there. Quick, I'll just thesaurus.com, tired, and then get a few synonyms in front of me and look around. And while I'm still thinking of the last thing, I'm just like
spent.
Keep looking, right? And then now exhausted or spent might fit it, and it fits the theme and the emotion I was looking for. But a lot of times, yeah, just Google, going to a thesaurus and looking for the other options in the same realm that you're already in. Like, what else is out there? Let me see. I'm not necessarily looking for like a solution, or like I'm just kind of trying to keep this thematic, keep expanding it, I guess. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, that makes sense. That kind of reminds me of one of your lines. I'm an animalistic fan of linguistics. Are you actually a fan of linguistics? Like, where'd that come from?
Did I write that?
That sounds like accurate, right?
That sounds like me.
Yeah, it was.
I actually am. When I was studying in community college before I moved downtown, when I would I did my math credit, right, and my English credit, and then I had electives. It's like extra, fill your schedule out. You got to reach a certain amount of hours, but now it's more, you got more your choice. I would take poetry. I took linguistics 101. I did that all because that was the beginning of me knowing I was more into like writing stupid raps between classes. So I'm like, I knew I was going to study film in college. So I'm like, oh, I can make my own music videos if I know how to do the film work. So while I'm in school and I have extra credits I can take, why don't I do them in fields of English and literature and poetry and linguistics? So I would take those classes and learn about like the etymology of words. And then just, that was always very interesting to me. I don't know if I'm as equally researched these days, but I would just nerd out on that, all in the effort of knowing I wanted to write raps and edit videos, and knowing how to edit video would help me market my potential rap music in the future. So I had that in my head pretty early on. So I would study it when I was.
I'm sorry. Would you mind repeating that? The audio cut out.
All of it?
We're gonna have to start over, basically. No, just from the explanation about your interest in linguistics and having the foresight to like connect that to rap and video editing.
Oh, sure. I am actually. I'm more into linguistics than I am animalistic. And I would, when I had electives and I would knock out all my credits that I needed to take, like math and English and shit, I would do things that like I was getting into rap and I'm like, this couldn't hurt, you know? Like if I take literature and poetry and linguistics 101, learn about etymology, and like I didn't even know that word meant anything. Etymology is, you know, it's like, yeah. And so
like peas.
No, that's edamame seed. But so I knew I was going to study film in college. I was always into that. I was making skate videos with my friends since I was like 13, and I was already into cameras and video editing. And then when I started getting into like thinking I wanted to make music in the future and after college, I had that in my head early enough to where I was like, oh, if I ever have extra credits and stuff, like I want to make music. I want to write lyrics. So I'll take literature courses, knowing that like it couldn't hurt, right? I'll learn more about words. I'll just have more words in front of me. And if I know I want to make music and I know how to edit the video, then I can make my own music videos and, you know, edit myself. And it would just be like, you know, not having a lot of people. I think me knowing how to edit video also helped us a lot because we never had to pay somebody from day one to shoot our stuff. We were able to self-produce a lot on a video level, and now we work with all sorts of talented people that help us. But I was very into linguistics, and I think I still like. That's why I like want to keep the words in front of me and thesaurus.com type of stuff. I mean, I have physical dictionaries and thesauruses I keep in the living room when I write as well. But, you know, it's old fashioned. It's right there. I'm already on my computer writing the rap. So I'm just like, boom, let me just type out some words and see what else is going on. Flipping through pages is like antiquated, you know? Like a dictionary is really thick.
It seems like you guys have always had a lot of foresight when it comes to your career. Like it's interesting seeing like your trajectory throughout, I guess, your music career. I remember seeing your Muff Hugger videos where you burn $100 bill, and that was years before the No More Jobs tour. So I guess like, one of those lines that make you think you finally made it. Like, what do those career goals and milestones look like to you?
I feel like we've definitely hit a couple of milestones. I mean, I don't want to sound like a giant cornball, but Wax. Do you know who Wax is? Like the YouTube rapper, and yeah, he became way more than a YouTube rapper, obviously. But I feel like he started there as well. When we started, before we called ourselves Palmer Squares and stuff. My goal, like my end game goal for real, because I usually like to keep realistic expectations. I'm not thinking like I'm going to be a number one on Billboard. And like, that wasn't really what I thought. But I'm like, my goal was I want to be good enough to where Wax like would like my music. Where Wax, if I could do a song with Wax, I made it because I respect his lyricism, I respect his hustle and what he was putting out. And I was like, I like this guy a lot. Like, he's a really good artist. And if I could but he's pretty unknown. So I was like, if I could even make it to his level. And next thing you know, years pass, we do songs with Wax, we do tours with Wax, we text each other silly shit occasionally now, like he's the homie. And so like that milestone happened 6 years ago. So then you reach a goal and you're like, oh shit, well now what? I guess I can quit. Or you set new goals and keep reaching further milestones.
Yeah,
so,
I'd like to think any goal that we started with, we've long since reached. We just, we're about to put out a new project this upcoming month. There's a song on it that opens the project, and the gist of it is that I'm living my dreams. I got new dreams now, and that rings true to, I think, how we feel about where we are, musically. You live your dreams, you have your dreams, you live your dreams, and then it's time to dream new dreams and live those.
So I guess what's our new dreams? What are we trying to do next?
That's what we gotta dream.
So we gotta figure out.
This is the first time in our careers, musically, our music careers, where we're kind of like we're getting by on our money that we make off of the music.
That's the biggest milestone for me, for sure. The most recent, I left my job, and I've always, all the stuff we made for the last 10 years, we had jobs. I had full-time work, and it was like, it was rap. Palmer Squares was extracurricular. I could not put everything into it. In fact, I could only really put like 15-20% of like my time most times into it.
It's hard to consider it more than just a hobby when you're going to a real job.
So the fact that I do look at this as like my career right now, or at least for the last year, I would call myself self-employed over unemployed because I've been getting by. That's a huge milestone for me. I feel like that's kind of making it. That is like, that's living the dream right now. Obviously there's stress and lags and inspiration and whatever, but like that's a fucking milestone, and I'm blessed to be here doing it and have made a year no job. And I hope we can keep doing bigger and better things, but it's really beneficial to have more of your time, or at least the majority of it, not some like evenings from 10 to midnight. That's all I got left in my schedule shit. Like it takes a lot more, and we've never had it. So that's something new. That's I'm really glad that I made it this far. A lot of musicians don't even get fans, they don't take it from their bedroom and YouTube to a stage, or from like an open mic stool to a stage and network. It's like, it's a process, and it's really easy to quit, like the easiest thing to do is just stop and be like, I can't keep fucking around with this rap music. I got to go to work. But we kept at it.
You mentioned
Wax a couple times.
Oh, did it just
start echoing a ton?
You're all right.
Well, you guys mentioned Wax a couple times. What are some other artists, or rather, who are some other artists that you really want to work with inside of Chicago and outside of Chicago?
Well, one artist we have worked with on a song on Finna is Saba, who's a Chicago hip-hop artist who we've been fans of for a long time, and I'd really love to work with him again in the future. We actually saw him in Atlanta at this festival thing that he was playing, and we got to just like, chat with him real quick. It was cool, because I think he's going to do huge things. I think he already is. And so that's somebody that we both really like. And I think we would make something cool together if we ever found the opportunity. So, I don't know where the realistic bar is set, because like I mentioned Vinny Paz, right? I was watching him on Rogan, but I'm like, could we do a song with him? Like, he's not Kanye big, but he's like influential to me. I think he's a great rapper. Like,
I think we just have to convince him that we're not total.
Yeah, he probably doesn't know who we are. So that's the first battle. I don't know. I have a actual like note in my phone with a list of names that I just want to like keep in mind when we're working on music, because when we have the right song, I'd really love to toss it to the right person. And there's people we've met. There's some lesser known folks. as well as people that I put on a much higher pedestal, like Vinny Paz. And I don't know. I feel like I should go look at my note, but I obviously we'd take the opportunity to work with any like established, respectable artist. Like we're probably not going to do a song with Kendrick Lamar, but like, you know, JID is somebody who's like got a lot of shine in the last year or two, and Earth Gang. Like there's a bunch of stuff that's like, if we're looking at it and we're ranking this on like a hierarchy, there's rappers who don't have as much exposure as us, and then we're somewhere on the tier, and then there's somebody above us, like maybe like an Action Bronson, and then there's like, you know, Eminem and Kanye and Jay-Z and Kendrick and J. Cole.
It's hard to know like where, like what, sorry. It's hard to know like
what you're saying right now.
Like what ambitions are unrealistic or not anymore too. Like there's that dude Lil Baby, you know? It's like the first time anybody ever heard of Lil Baby was his song with Drake. So it's like how does the first thing I ever heard of you have Drake on it, you know? I thought that to get Drake on your thing you had to have something that I heard of.
Right.
But I guess not, you know? And Kanye West, we're from Chicago and we make hip hop music, so you know, Kanye West is supposed to be like the god who we would just wish could, you know who we are. But, you know, at this point, with the people that he's working with, I don't know how flattering or,
right.
But I don't know if that's something that I'm really interested in.
We've also,
I mean, obviously, if he came a calling, we would come running.
We had the opportunity recently to open up for some like kind of classic acts. He was a class act, but like we opened up for Del, the Funky Homo Sapien, at an event, and Del and Hieroglyphics, Souls of Mischief is like very big as far as my manhood. I love that shit. So it was an honor for me to do a show and share a stage. I got to shake his hand later in the night. It was cool. So now I'm thinking like, well, I was just there. Like, could I do a song with Del? Apparently we can do a show together. Like, so, but I don't even consider myself in the same like league as a legend like that. And like, we did a show with Gifted Gab from Black Alicious. He's a legend. It's like, I think what really holds us up about collaborating sometimes is not, I want to like have something to show the artist if we're approaching them. I don't want to be like, hey man, want to do a song? Okay, that'd be great. Like I want to say, hey, here's a song. Here's something that we have you in mind and we want you to, you know, it's a starting point. Maybe they hear that and they go, I don't really know who these guys are, but I kind of like this. Let's look into them. And until we have those drafts ready and be like, oh, like Del would be perfect for this, we're not going to go knocking on the door and bothering him. So I'm really not sure. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, no, just saying.
Why not? Growing up, my mom would always say, you have not because you ask not.
So I'm going to tweet out every person you guys mentioned. What is your one dream collab for each of you?
My mom used to say, you can't hit a home run without swinging the bat.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take. But no, I mean, I hope we get the chance to work with a lot of artists. There's some people like, we actually just cut a song with UBI from Cess Crew. And that was, it's not out yet. It should be out soon. I'm really excited about it though. And I thought it was cool that he gave us a look and he was interested and like he liked our sound. We opened for him. That's an example of one that worked. We opened for Cess, got to link with them, became friendly, cut a song. And that was just like, damn, like we made that happen. And I'm really glad that that's going to exist now. People are going to hear that. And so I don't know. That was cool. And I feel like we'll just keep trying to work with people and get opportunities. And hopefully they don't think we suck or that we're assholes. And if sometimes we're a little antisocial or we might not even meet the people at the show or something. So it's kind of up to us to make those opportunities happen. And I do have like those names in mind where, yeah, I think when we have the right song,
sometimes
we should pitch it to
the
him.
guy at the show and you say Oscar Peterson and then you just...
Who was that?
I was going to ask you a moment ago, so I just never even brought it up. There's another dude, it's just name I can't remember, but very talented dude out of Chicago, drummed for No Name Gypsy. Jake something?
Yeah, Lucas or something.
Lucas Jake?
I don't remember. Luke Titus.
There you go.
Yeah, we just wound up at a kid's show in Chicago. I thought he was awesome. I would work with him but again, I don't have the thing to pitch him just yet. But it's always in like the back of our minds who we've got our eye on or who we listen to and enjoy. But I don't know. I think back to our writing process. I think we don't work as quickly as we could or should. Maybe that's the method to our madness where we need all that time to make what we make. But we don't like record a song a week, you know. We take our time with stuff and then we find that right thing. We will shop it, ask somebody if they want to hop on, stuff like that. So, you know, we did a song with Watsky. That was a matter of just asking, which was cool. We opened up for him. It was years later and I was like, well, he was friendly when we met him. So maybe I'll shoot him a DM and we had a song in mind for him. So we were like, I can show you this draft and the beat, and he responded to it and we made it happen. So it takes time, I guess. It just takes years at a time sometimes to level up and get this hip hop community. And we're working with people that we grew up listening to, you know?
Yeah. So we're approaching the end of the interview. So these last few questions are going to be more like quick fire ones, just so we can get through the last few of them.
No worries.
All right. So do you want to do like term answers, then you answer, or other way? Do you guys have a preference?
Oh, sure. You want us each to answer these questions?
Yeah.
All right. Let's term first, then me.
Oh boy.
All right. If you had to recommend one piece of media, what would it be? It can be
Media?
any sort of medium. It could be a sculpture, a painting, a jigsaw puzzle, a song. I don't know, anything.
Like, I have to recommend like a piece of media.
This is required viewing, reading, or I don't know, something like that.
What makes it required? Like,
I'll answer
in order
first.
to understand me, person.
No, like you have to see. That's a movie everybody should see, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So
Okay.
I think Mike Tyson's book, The Undisputed Truth, is a phenomenal read.
This is a book.
Yeah.
It sounds all smart now.
And I said a movie, so there's two. I just set you up.
Raising Arizona is a film that everyone should see. Is my answer.
All right. Can you guys impersonate each other? On a previous interview, I asked if someone could impersonate any rappers, but I figured it'd be interesting to see if Term could impersonate Acumental or Acumental could impersonate Term.
Oh no.
Rappy, I said. No. I've been to that for Don since I put my Pampers on.
I'm a this and this and that and that and do the dot the dot.
Shit, I don't know. I feel like if I sounded like Term, I'd be singing the So Long hook, you know? I got nothing. I can do a Dave Chappelle impression.
I'm
Ready? It's fucking ridiculous. Good, right?
Last episode, we had an Obama impersonation. I was dying. And it was like some other white guy, too, which was like priceless.
I don't think you do like any impressions.
Yeah, they often say that like once you hear someone do the impression, then it's easy to do it.
I used to have a good Kendrick impression, but it probably sucks now. I used to just make him sound like Jimmy on South Park. Yeah, I know you want to do it. Like that. That's all I got.
So, what is it like being white in the traditionally black genre?
Intimidating. I constantly feel like I'm going to say the wrong thing. I still don't feel cool or accepted.
Well, we are the squares, you know. So
No, I often think like it's kind of odd that that's still like a taboo or anything.
I don't think it is.
The fact that it's like a 30-plus-year-old genre, and shit, I think I was just saying this. So like, there's all different sorts of sects of hip hop now. Just like there's all different sorts of types of metal and rock and roll and shit.
Yeah.
You know,
Gangster rap, trap, mumble rap, lyrical, conscious.
There's like gay transgendered rappers. Like I don't think it's weird to be a white dude who raps.
It's really not. Look at Eminem. Like you know,
he's like the most selling artist of the genre of all time, right?
It's nothing else. You got to give Eminem. I know you're not going to say great shit about him, but like
he's cool.
Yeah, but he was also like the first super duper white boy from the Midwest to become a big deal in rap, as far as I can recall.
He paved my way.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sometimes you feel out of place, maybe, and definitely the more that the culture shifts towards like I was saying earlier, of like how it's very much now about like it's no longer about like gods who are capable of things that you can never imagine doing, and more now about like people that are just like me who I can relate to, you know, like Cardi B's and Bad Babies and Lil Xans and stuff. I don't know where I was going with that.
They're just normal kids trying to make their fucking music.
Yeah, and the more
I can do that.
The more it shifts towards like young, relevant stuff and like trap culture, the less I feel like I have anything to offer this culture. I don't think that has anything to do with me being white.
Yeah, I think that that sort of idea is going away. It's also interesting that as far as underground rap, it seems like there's always been white people rapping. You know what I mean? Like he had Idea, Intuition.
We're not
obviously Eminem.
We're not like the type of white dudes who are wearing like sideways hats and XXL Echo shirts and using a lot of slang. It's kind of always been our kind of gimmick, for lack of a better word, that we are dorks or squares or whatever, you know? So we kind of figured if we just own it from the get-go, it'll be easier, and I think it is.
I try not to use too much vernacular that I don't actually use. Like Finna is one example that's an exception, and we named an album that. It's been like, I love the way it fits rhymes and it's more smooth than going to. But I don't talk to my friends and be like, yo, you finna meet up? Like I don't say.
I think we say it.
I don't know how to say it.
We live like in a black neighborhood though. And like if I go to the grocery store and I'm like talking to Matt on the phone or something, and everyone around me is black, and I say to him that I'm finna do whatever,
yeah.
I am like conscious of it. Like, do I sound like an asshole?
You sound like an asshole.
Yeah, I think finna specifically is like a southern term, but it's interesting how I don't know.
Yeah, there's
everything bleeds into like other languages or vernaculars.
Yeah, we're coping with it, I guess, is the short answer.
Yeah. So, are you guys religious? There seems to be a ton of religious imagery in your work. Like,
I think so.
There's lines about hell. There's lines about carving satanic stars in the school desks. But there's also lines like God's handing out a lot of odd tasks. So, where do you guys personally fall?
I was raised Catholic, but I certainly didn't keep my faith much after like moving out of the house and stuff. But so I grew up around it. But it's not something that's extremely important to me in my adult life. In fact, I don't know. It's pretty hard to ignore all the boy fucking. Honestly, I was like, fuck all this. That's not cool. So I'm out,
boys.
I'm out.
I was from a family that did not instill an iota of religion into the children. My mom comes from a Christian background and my dad from a Jewish background, and there was no like deciding which one. They just decided neither. I don't remember ever being taught about the existence of a God or anything.
I think lyrically though, there's a lot of juice in religion if you want to talk
divisive
about rhymes.
Yeah, it's just a divisive and good. I don't want to say controversial because that would make me sound like an asshole maybe, but maybe like a controversial-ish subject.
Well, also a lot of just rapping. Rap 101 is like, it's braggartly. It's, I'm the best. You're the worst. I'm a god. I'm Jesus. Like that. There's something about just that culture of like making sure punchlines put you down, lift me up. I'm better than you. I'm the best. I'm a god.
Braggadocio.
If you want to make some real good, convincing lyrics that you are the best and you are a god, you better start speaking the religious language in your rap. Like, I think it's, and there's like, just like words people don't use anymore too. And there's stuff.
I don't have a belief
in the God because all I believe in is me. So
yeah, I don't really have any beliefs in gods. I think I'm like an agnostic or something. I more just don't give a shit. But I will write something that comes off as though I do believe in God for the sake of a dope rhyme.
Gotcha. Yeah, because I was wondering, it's like they seem to be like,
I know
we're real deep into this religious stuff. Like you mentioned the Bhagavad Gita, and I was like, damn, that's a serious reference for someone who's not like.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
religious.
Yeah, no, I mean that's just more shit of like listening to talk radio type shit and taking in stuff that I think sounds interesting and I've never heard anyone else.
Sometimes I can't believe
about
the shit I'm pulling out of my ass of like a rhyme, and I'll be like, oh, doesn't Bhagavad Gita rhyme? And then I'll be like, how the hell do I even know that? Like, stuff seeps in sometimes to where I'll be like, oh, this is a word, isn't it? You know, anthropomorphic. How do I know that? I don't know. Like infinitesimalism. I don't even know what they mean half the time, and then I'll have to like reteach myself. But there'll be I think just sometimes you got to look for it, and then sometimes it's just like, how did I even know that? I must have heard somebody say it. I must have been in a movie and subconsciously seeped in. And I feel like even though we're not the most religious folks, it's this is America, and there's a lot of like religious history in anything. If you're going to watch a documentary about somebody, they might have a lot of history about how much they believed in God or worshiped Satan. I don't know. It's all pretty interesting whether you practice or not. It's out there. Like I think it's, even if you're agnostic and atheist and whatever, like you're still very much aware of like the other religions and maybe a Horus, the sun god and stuff. Like I didn't praise the dude. Why do I know who he is? Like you just know. It's just religion is kind of unavoidable. I feel like whether it's your thing or not.
It's a very solid freestanding cultural reference that you don't really need necessarily like a specialized knowledge to know. It seems like. I guess it is good in that regard.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are also among very few artists who I'll listen to, and like personally, I have a minor in linguistics, so I love linguistics. But very rarely do I hear a term or a word that I don't know, especially in music, and I'll just be like, "Damn!" Like part of your cranium targets sardinipallian garments. I'm just like, whoa! Like it's kind of interesting to hear your guys' take on it because it seems so directed and targeted, and like intentional. But hearing you guys say, "Oh, this is just some bullshit I picked up."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we both like value words and free speech and everything a lot. Like, I don't know, language is powerful. So even though we just make dumb rap songs most of the time, like that, again, rap's the new rock and roll, and look at the numbers of what's popular. Like it's kind of lazy to me when people aren't using a lot of words. And that Kanye shit. I'm sick. I'll buy you a sick. I'll buy you a shit. It's like, dude, this is whack. Yeah, this is lazy.
As much as we'll evolve and certain reasons for why we do what we do might change, I think one thing that's always going to stay a constant is I think our top priority and why we do what we do or when we're doing it is just to say something that hasn't been said a million times,
Not everything we say is going to be the most original. Nobody's ever touched on it, but like that's the effort. That's the goal. And like when we put out Motherfucker, a fan messaged me and said like, oh, dude, you said Lord and Savior, Florida Gator and whatever. And like you stole that from this guy. And I was like, I don't even know what you're talking about. Like, look,
parallel thinking.
Yeah, I'm not going to be the only one who recognizes those terms sound alike and they pair them together. Like
something like that kind of drives us to like dig deeper for the line that you just repeated.
Yeah, if Lord and Savior and Florida Gator is too obvious, I'm not trying hard enough to say the original shit.
Right.
That's a really interesting perspective. Earlier you mentioned sort of how you guys are like connoisseurs of words to some degree, and how like you'll take slang but very intentionally. What was the origin of Stank Face for the label? Because I don't hear many people say that. I know that's very,
Fortunately,
that's very like, regional.
we can't claim credit for the name of Stankface.
Oh, that's actually, that was named by our manager, and that he was into the idea of kind of forming this other, kind of like an identity. We've got a little community around us, so we were working with, we made our clique, and then Vanna Black Soul and Will is Chillin', and then Rebel Legato and Loudmouth, and we're like, we are kind of like recluse, shy boy, living room YouTube shit. It was good to like create a crew and build and expand our identity and our branding and stuff. And honestly, our manager Brandon definitely came up with the name. I remember him saying how he like had options, and we might even pitched options. I don't know, but he shopped it around, and people seemed to like that. I don't even know if I agreed with him at the time, but I got to say, in hindsight, I dig it. I think it's a solid name.
Related it to Derrick Rose.
Me too.
I don't know if it had anything to do with him thinking of it, though. I just know when Derrick Rose used to do something dope when he played for the Bulls.
Poster, just dunk on somebody.
He would run back up the court with this look like he smelled a fart. Like, damn, something stinks in here. Y'all stink.
Exactly.
And that was the stank face. That's when I hear stank face, that's like the epitome of it to me.
So beyond Derrick Rose, it's just that face you make when something like that blows your mind. It's the right punchline. It's a slam dunk. And then you just go like, ooh, and your face just looks like, damn, let's take a shit.
What stinks in here? Because I know it ain't me.
Yeah. But no, we actually didn't coin that one.
Oh, huh. Earlier you had mentioned a friend that got you both into music named Zach.
Correct.
Would the listeners know him by a different name, or does that person not make music?
He does not make music. He's probably been in some of our videos, maybe in the background and old shit, but...
Yeah, he's known as DJ Melvin.
Yeah.
DJ Melvin.
He was our good buddy, still is. He lives out west now, and it's just like, yeah, he was way more of like a crate digger. However... He couldn't even, nothing against him. I love you, Zach. But like, he couldn't tap his foot to his song. He didn't have rhythm really. I tried to teach him drums once because I was like, dude, you're so like musically inclined. You should really learn to like, use equipment and stuff.
He's got all the soul, no rhythm.
But he's got he's always been like a record collector. And then he started getting equipment like turntables and MPCs and stuff. And then we moved in together when we, Term, myself, and Zach, he was our roommate when we left graduate high school, moved on.
Supposed to be the DJ.
He kind of was. Like, he had all the making of being a DJ, but he was just kind of way more of not a hip hop head. He was a head. He was just like everything, soul music, deep cuts, samples and records. And he has probably thousands of records at this point too. And it's, he's like a collector, he's a connoisseur. Like, if we're connoisseurs of words, he's a connoisseur of soulful old recordings and stuff.
He reads like Wax Poetics and shit.
Yeah, he's very into that.
He used to work for a Numero group who like license old funk and soul music and shit. He's just a music lover.
A big music lover, really smart when it comes to like, he knows more musicians than I probably do by 5-10 times. Margin. I don't even know, but yeah, he was just our good buddy, and we grew up with him, and having him around definitely played an influential role on what we found dope and what we became fans of, are still fans of today. And definitely the lyrical hip hop that inspired us to write our own. There was a good amount of that just came from Zach.
Yeah, I always credit MF Doom as kind of the reason I wanted to start writing raps of my own as my main influence. And the one track that it was that inspired me, it was put on by our homie Zach.
Wow. It's kind of interesting seeing people transition from music consumers to music creators. And it seems like every now and then you see some people go back to being just consumers. Like, who are some of the artists you think are really slept on? One of the first people that comes to mind for me is like Intuition or like Lee Shaner. He was huge in music, and now, or at least on the YouTube scene. And now he does other stuff still in the industry, but not like actively.
I think we said earlier, two names that are really slept on and were huge influences to us are Elzai and Fonte. I think we both agree that Fonte is one of the greatest living rappers.
I decided a long time ago when people ask me who my favorite rapper is that my answer is just Fonte. It's I trust that as an answer. It's really hard for me to like, what's your favorite movie? I don't know, man. Like so many. It's hard, but he's so consistent. He still puts out music. He's one half of the group, Little Brother from North Carolina. We used to listen to that a lot. He's just really lyrical, and he definitely was a rapper who showed me that like how you could push the limits of like the verse structure and stuff. And it's
structure and pattern and style.
Same with Elzai. And like, people, heads know that. Heads know who Slum Village and Little Brother is. But I think they should be also, get Kanye off fucking SNL and put Fonte on. Like they rhyme, Kanye, Fonte. All you got to do is change the title card, and then you get a damn good performance from a talented dude who takes music seriously. But yeah, those are good answers. Not necessarily like they're way more exposed than we are, but they're definitely not household names or well enough known in our opinion.
I'll definitely be sure to add some sort of annotation in the video so people can check these guys out.
Sure.
ELZHI and PHONTE.
All right, that sounds good. Thank you. So, you said you mentioned that you had an album coming out pretty soon. What is that called? And is that like a concept album? What's it about?
Is it an album?
I don't know. That's another thing. I don't know what to call anything anymore. Because like Kanye will put out an album, Life of Pablo, 20 tracks, and then he'll put out another album,
7 songs.
7 songs. I mean, what? I can't compare this. That's like 3 times as much content. So we're ranking those. I really don't know like where the cutoff is for an EP and an LP and a mixtape and an album. I call everything a project. That's just the thing.
The next project. When is that coming out? What's
Comes out next month. It's actually a collaborative project with Prob Cause, who's on Muff Hugger and various other songs we've done. So we did a whole, actually 7-track album project together. So that comes out October 26th, if all goes as planned. And I'm really excited for that. That's it's called Junkyard Samurai.
Awesome. How do you guys feel about rap beef? I talked to a rapper who allegedly had beef with you guys. There's all this stuff at Eminem and
Who had beef with us? We're cute boys.
We could talk offline, but like I also know someone who allegedly has beef with Prob Cause.
Oh, really? All right, well,
totally rap based only. No one's getting shot at. Don't worry. But like,
you got beef with Prob. You got beef with me. So how do we feel about rap beef?
Yeah.
I get the like why it's interesting and why it's everybody's like it's a sensation, and like, ooh, he's mean. Let's see what he says back. Ooh. It's just like, but a lot of it, I think,
high school-y.
It's very childish.
You got dudes out now.
But it's like the best marketing tool.
I see a lot of motherfuckers saying slime. I started that slime shit. You ain't slime, bruh.
What the?
Like that's a thing, where dudes are like, hey man, I said that slang word first. You're saying there's dudes who are like, they're beefing with dudes because this guy did their dance on stage. It's all just very silly to me.
Yeah, it's I think it's cool though, and there have been like classic diss tracks and awesome shit from like Ice Cube and Big L and like KRS-One and like there's such awesome old diss tracks, but like, and now it's like a marketing tool. Like I think MGK is smart as fuck for doing his thing back at Eminem. Like MGK is not the only name Eminem dropped on his album, but he was the only dude who came back and was like, all right, well, I'm gonna let you know how I feel about it. And then that song is like, number 13 on Billboard.
Right. I think everybody hates Tekashi 6ix9ine. I think he's a pretty smart dude for the fact that all he did over the past year was tell everybody that they suck and to suck his dick. And somehow he had the most successful year of any rapper.
But I think that's whack because unless we want to do that, we're never going to get that shine. And I don't think it's smart to like. It is smart to make a name for yourself, but not as a musician. You're a professional shit talker. It's what you do, and like.
Right. Music, in my opinion, is pure trash. But in terms of like marketing and success, I take my hat off to you, bro.
So I understand the power of the tool of beef and like diss tracks and everybody. It overshadows everything else everyone's doing, because that's like it's a boxing card, you know. It's like, in this corner, weighing in. It's like it's an event. It's like it's going back at each other, and it's like a fight. And fighting is the oldest sport in ever. It's just like, and that's what it is. It's a verbal fight, but a lot of times it just gets it's very personal. It's oh geez, story of Ed, and on wow, you know. So I don't know. I guess I think it's sometimes it's a cheap trick. Sometimes it generates a really awesome song that becomes like a classic hit. But yeah, ultimately it's just like a couple of dudes, you know, you're not coming to my birthday party. Well, you're not invited anyways. Like, that's what it is.
I think it's that way to fans too.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like, I guess I get it. And like, I thought like Machine Gun Kelly did a fine job, but I was like, that's a song. You have a chorus and you hook it around 4 or 5 times. And then Eminem responded, and that was not a song. That was like 5 minutes of punchline raps. That's a diss track. Like, the other thing was like just a track, and you were just being mean. So I almost have like standards. I jump on the bandwagon like anybody else. I want to see what's going on.
And while I agree with that, I think they both just sounded like idiots.
Yeah, they both kind of sounded childish. But MGK got all of Eminem's fans, and Eminem has way more fans than MGK. And now all the ones who'd never heard of him before, they know who he is now. They might check out his next album if they thought his diss track was good. Whether they thought he won the beef or not, it's a brilliant marketing move if you do it right. But just doing it to do it, it's like, let it go. Chill out.
Yeah, so before we get to the last question, I just want to say thanks for taking time out of your day to come do the interview.
No problem, man. When does this come out? Is this something we can share soon? Well, fans to check it out.
Well, if you want, we could time it so it releases right before Junkyard Samurais.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Anytime in the next couple weeks. But yeah, we'll talk about it for sure. No problem, man.
All right. Sounds good. And last question, where can the listeners find you online?
YouTube. we have a lot of, I guess we're almost everywhere, you know, Spotify, Apple Music,
Tidal.
I believe we're even on that stuff, but we should be, you know, wherever you get music, we should be on there. And we have a lot of stuff on YouTube that is not necessarily like on albums. You know, we have a lot of videos, just us rapping at the camera, go find a cool location and shoot us doing shit live there in the alley or on the rooftop or whatever. So we got a lot of YouTube videos in addition to music videos and produced content there. But no, just check us out, I guess. And
like any place that you can stream music, we're available. Any place that you can physically buy copies of CDs like Best Buy and shit, we're not available.
Right. So, but we're working on tour stuff. You could always go to like thepalmersquares.com for anything. palmersquares.com/shop if you want to buy a t-shirt. thepalmersquares.com/tour if you want to see if we're going to be on the road. Yeah, we have a podcast too. We started a podcast last year ourselves. So just something where we can reach our fans every week. So every Wednesday we put out a new episode of TPS Reports podcast. So we're just trying to make as much as we can. And yeah, we're everywhere, man.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being on. We might talk a little bit offline, but that was Term K and Accidental. Thanks.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Smooch. Mwah!
And that was the Palmer Squares on MTMscratch. If you'd like to follow them online, check the description for more information below. Check back in on Facebook, SoundCloud, YouTube, and Twitter for music, memes, and more episodes. Thanks for listening. Until next time, I'm Jordan Burt. Take it easy.